2 a.m. in the morning because I was up. And I only have like a few people that actually know that I'm on here. This is actually just a test. So I'm gonna wait a minute, and I'm only doing this beginning, so it doesn't seem weird that I'm just gonna be on here. So this is gonna be quite fun. Let me move this around a little bit. That should be fun right there. So let's just wait for a second. I need to set everything else up. What's on this side? What is this? Oh, that's stuff in the background. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Reggie Casual. Again, I'm doing a live at 2 a.m. in the morning. And it's actually 2:43 over here in Japan, and I just got finished with some stuff, and I decided to do a little bit of a live here on YouTube because I don't normally do them here. So here we go. Kind of fun. I probably won't be using this system from here on out. I'm actually just using my phone. But uh, it's fun, whatever. So the topic of this live is, what is it? The things that I hate about Japan, about living in Japan. And then we're going to do some Japanese fashion Q&A. So if you guys have questions about Japanese fashion, or if you have questions about just me in general, or if you want to kind of get to know a little bit more about me and where I'm coming from, you are free to ask those questions after I kind of explain everything. And this is not going to be a long live. It's going to be quite short. But I will say this, we do have a video coming out very soon that's about the whole fiasco with Lil Nas X and everything. I mean, we kind of had to do it because we want to be taken seriously as a YouTube channel that talks about content that's out. It sucks, but I have to do it, right? Um, but that being said, check out the video and my things that I hate about um, the things that I hate about living in Japan. I think uh, when I first got to Japan, I didn't really have that many. I didn't have an idea that it was going to be what everybody had told me it was going to be. So like, or that image, right? That image that everybody was, oh, Japan is the best place in the world. It's, the food and the people and the girls. Like it was all like, I didn't expect any of that. Like I was truly just like, I know it's not going to be that good. It's just going to be just like anywhere else. But the only reason why I was able to come from that perspective is because I grew up as a Navy kid. And as a Navy kid, I uh, I traveled everywhere, so I kind of knew about different places and uh, not to expect too much from them, right? Not to expect too much from any one place, and so it was really easy for me to kind of get a grip on Japan and what it really meant. But I'd say the worst thing about Japan is actually it doesn't come from Japanese people at all. It comes from people who are like foreigners in Japan that are a little bit more that are just egregious in how they treat each other or how they treat other foreigners, and foreigners outside of Japan, like people who are not from Japan who view you being in Japan as like an affront to them. That is probably the most annoying thing. Like that, it's weird to say that. It's like it's not really the things that happen in Japan that bother me. It's the things that happen, the parallel, the analogous things, I should say, that happen outside of Japan. That is the most annoying thing. That definitely, it's probably the one thing that keeps me from saying exactly what I would like to say. uh, because I think far too often people get overzealous about Japan, and they get too far, especially like fans of Japanese culture. They just get so into like Japan, 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 and so they kind of mystify it, and it's like this mystification of Japan, And I think that it's just terribly placed, and they really don't know. And I'm saying this as a person who, I'm an Asian study, like that was my major in college, Asian studies with a focus in Japanese language and history. Like it's literally my field of study. Like I know about this country like forward and backward, right? Like I'm not gonna say that I'm like the best scholar in it, but I know about it, right? I know about these things, and to hear people spew off about how, you know, why am I here, or or like to act as if what I me being here pisses them off, or some, or like what I know is surface level, or I'm obsessed with Japanese culture. Um, it has nothing to do with any of those things. I just hate that. I really don't like that. I think it's just a cop out for them to feel better about not being in Japan, which is weird to me. So yeah, that's one of the things. Just the outside perception of Japan. As far as the foreigners in Japan, a lot of them still kind of maintain this idea of um, a lot of them kind of maintain this idea of my Japan. And so when they see you like on the street, it's really funny because foreigners in Japan have this I like there's some who've been here for a long time who are just like just cool, is they live here. So like me, like I just live here, man. Like this is home, right? So I don't treat it like I'm a foreigner in Japan. I really treat it like Japan is my home because I'm established here. I'm basically a permanent resident, right? Um, but some foreigners in Japan, they kind of give you this kind of stinky eye every time you see them. It's like, why are you here, bro? Like, what are you doing here, right? Everybody, every foreigner, like especially new ones, they want to know what you do. Like, what's your job? How do you make money? Because a lot of foreigners who live in Japan work as teachers, right? So it's really funny, like when you see, like, I can go anywhere that I want during the day. So when you're, let's say you're like a teacher and after work you're in your full suit or something, because most teachers have to wear suits or they have to wear like formal attire. And so you see me walking on the street during the weekday and with my casual clothes on and immediately like the thought comes in, like, because I know I've seen this happen before. The thought comes like, what do they do? How are they living in Japan? So they can't. A lot of people don't like this, right? Um, I'm gonna answer some of your questions later, but to answer this one that you have, I am not a Japanese citizen. I'm not gonna become a Japanese citizen. I'll remain American for the time being. But yeah, that's the kind of idea on the foreigner front, is that there's like this contention, there's this immediate judgment or immediate competition amongst a lot of foreigners, as if it's their Japan, and I'm in, or you're encroaching again, that whole idea, you're encroaching on my Japan. I've been here, and why are you here? And and for those of us who've lived here for a long time, we kind of get used to it, and we don't really play that game. But for those who are kind of new, or those who don't really know kind of like the lingo, they get a little bit too overzealous with it. So that's like one big thing in Japan that I think is probably the two most annoying things: the outside perception of it, and the internal perception of it, and it's not from Japanese people, right? So as far as Japanese people are concerned, I think the only one annoying thing that constantly comes up with Japanese people is that they never really tell you how they feel. They never really say um, exactly what it is um, that they want to convey. I remember when I was working at an office job, and we were doing peer reviews. And when we did these, actually, it wasn't even a peer review. It was just basically you rate yourself on a document, and then your boss rates you. And when we did this, it was so hilarious because I did my rating. So they give you like a 1 to 5 rating, and then you rate yourself. And then they give you their rating, and it's always much lower. Their rating is much lower. Um, uh, Much lower than, than what you may have put. And and then they tell you at the moment like what you did wrong and why they put that score. Um, and so they don't they literally will just wait until the moment that they do the review instead of telling you at that moment that you did that thing wrong, right? So they wait all the and it kind of messes me up because I'm a type of person that says if you tell me that I'm doing something wrong, I'll immediately change tune. I'll immediately change that behavior. I'll immediately do something better or, change at that moment. But Japanese tend to just wait until the opportunity presents itself where they're supposed to tell you. So uh everything is kind of like in time, right? Like we're not going to do it now. We're going to do it at the time that we're supposed to criticize you. Uh that's when we'll tell you. And so that's definitely an annoying thing uh about Japanese culture. So there's that. I know a lot of people kind of get on the whole, yo, what about, Japan and its racial issues and things of that nature. And to be completely honest with you, I never really had major issues when it came to racial issues. Um, so I don't really, and those aren't really like major for me, but I know some people who've had those issues, but I think the reason why I haven't had those issues is because I've always kind of presented myself as a Japanese speaker. And I've always presented myself as a person um, who kind of knows the lingua franca. So I never hide that fact. And so it's one of those things that I ensure that um, I ensure that most Japanese people know exactly that I know what I'm talking about, right? So uh, that's one thing that I make known, right? And I don't kind of shy away from conflict when a Japanese person might say something to me like under their breath. I'll literally just be like, "Whoa, what did you say?" Right? Like, please explain that enough to me. Explain that again to me. Like say it again, right? So I can see where you're coming from. So I never stray from conflict with Japanese people, and a lot of the time they're very surprised. So because I make it known and because I, make my opinions felt, I have a lot easier time and I get a lot more, I guess, kind of respect because, you know, they realize crap. Like now I got to explain myself. Now I have to explain myself. And uh, that's always that's always a good thing. That's probably the best thing. All right, so what else? What else is another terrible thing about Japan that I dislike? Of course, trains. I don't like trains. Yeah, no, racism. I mean, I mean, keep that question because you might keep that question for the Q&A about the racism question because that's a big, long answer. Um, what else is there? There's not much else. One of the things that I love about Japan is that I can be myself without thinking about a whole bunch of other things that I would almost certainly have to think about in America if I was living there. I've accomplished more in Japan because I've been at peace, right? So I think that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to Japan is that I've been at peace and I've been able to accomplish things in a without the noise, right? So um, uh, when people ask me, keep all your questions, remember your questions because I might not remember them. But like those, it's just the fact that I have no distractions, the fact that I don't have to get on Twitter and listen to whatever the heck everybody's talking about. I don't care about what people are talking about like that's popular anymore. Like I don't want to enter those conversations. I have no interest in it. Um, and it's just it's just peaceful, right? I could totally be myself. I guess the other thing is I guess the final thing is expectation. If there is any if there's any type of racism in Japan that's pretty evident. It's not racism in the overt kind, I hate you or shoot you on the street type racism. It's more of it's more of an expectation kind of racism, as in typically when you enter Japan, say you are a black person, most Japanese view of black people really are more or less what they've expected to see in popular culture. So they think of a lot of black people as like hip hop. Like hip hop is kind of like their view of black people. So if you're not that, it kind of confuses them because you don't act the way that they have that black people have been uh shown, have been, presented, right? And so you have to kind of peel back the layers. You have to peel back that veneer and kind of give them a different viewpoint. And then they're like, oh, so so you don't do completely that. That's strange to me. For example, uh, I had I had a situation where I was working at an office and a Japanese person asked me, they said, we don't have that much experience we don't have that much experience with lighter black people, right? Like it was like because most of the black people that live in Japan are actually African or many of them are Caribbean. And so a lot of the time they're presented with darker complexion black people, right? So when they see black people, they have this kind of idea that they're all like dark, right? Or they're all this, particular complexion. So when they see somebody like me, who's just even a little bit lighter, right, than the average African, right? So it's kind of weird to them. And they start asking questions like, oh, are you know, Indian? Like, no, I'm not from India. I'm not from Nepal. I'm a black dude from America, right? So that's the kind of racism. It's more of a lot of it is ignorance of just not knowing, but it's also because they're not coming into contact with enough people from different places. And I think one of the worst things that could happen is when you have, I think this is another thing. Um, when you when you say, oh my goodness, what is it? It's like it's how that expectation manifests itself, but it's also how it's also how others expect you to be, if that makes any sense. It's like it expects they expect you to be a particular way, but and when you don't feel that expectation, they're thoroughly disappointed. Like it's really funny. uh so it's like they're really disappointed that you're not that thing. So um it's really hard to kind of explain. uh it's really hard to explain, but it is one of those things where it comes up quite often. Um, but I would say, as far as the racism is concerned, I don't. Oh, there it is. I think the most unfortunate thing that happened is that you have people. I'm gonna be real with you, right? So, um, I'm gonna be really real with you. The idea that Japanese people are largely racist towards Black people is doesn't actually come from Black people, right? It's not Black people who lived in Japan and then went to the States or went to wherever they went back and was like, oh, Japan is hella racist. It's never been like that because there's not enough Black people that actually from America that actually came to or from like Europe that come to Japan and then live here for an extended time and then come back and be like, yo, it's terrible. Right? This notion, this is probably the number one thing that I hate. This notion that Japanese people are just like racist towards Black people actually comes from people who aren't Black. I'm being real, like a lot of white people who come to Japan and their expectation upon coming to Japan is that Japanese people will love them, right? Like they expect like Japanese people will love everything about them, especially the guys. So guys come over here and they start like white dudes be coming over here and they think that they're gonna be like the best thing since sliced bread, right? And then they are totally like surprised when that doesn't happen, right? Right? They're totally surprised when that that doesn't happen, and so they come out and they get super like aggressive towards Japan. Like I've had this happen so many times, right? It's just like a white dude, one of my white friends, he came up to me like a while ago. He was like, "Man, Reggie, don't you think Japan is racist?" Right? He would just like literally tell me, like, "Man, don't you think Japan is racist?" I'm like, "Dude, like I'm from America, homie. Like I'm from America, bro. You go ask me. You're gonna ask me if I think Japan is racist?" Like, come on, bro. Come on. Come on. Right? So, like, yo, man, look at my face and ask me if I think Japan is racist. And the reason for that is this is more, it's a deeper reason for it. The reason for it is because they've never really experienced being a minority, right? And so when you have never really experienced being a minority and being disenfranchised, uh, or just being less than, less put on a, put less on that pedestal, it kind of gets to you. That doesn't mean that, white people aren't the easiest to understand, like when, the easiest for Japanese to wrap their head around, because um, there's more white people that come to Japan than anybody else, right? So it's really one of those things where um, it's really one of those things that uh, they just come into, right? Like they're just like, man, I never really I never really experienced that. So like for me, coming from America where like racism is kind of like ingrained in American culture. You can't really get away from it. So when you go to Japan and you say and somebody asks me if they're racist, I'm like, the thing about if Japanese people are racist, they don't say anything, right? They don't really say anything, right? Like they just leave you alone, right? So it's really one of those things where it's really one of those things if they don't want to be around you, if they don't like you, um, then they won't say anything. They really don't care, right? And so that's probably one of the cool things about it. And that's how like I've come to realize like if somebody like even in America now, like I have this theory. Um, if if somebody is racist towards me in America, I immediately just leave the situation. Like I don't like why? Like why do I have to continue being a part of this conversation? Right? Like so I don't get mad. I just go, right? It just doesn't really bother me, right? So I'm just like, okay, fine. Why do I need to be around you? Like, do I need to? Am I supposed to argue with you? Right? Like, am I supposed to say something after that? Like, am I supposed to? What am I supposed to do? Like I'm always like confused. Like if somebody calls me out of my name, I'm like, so what am I supposed to say after this? Like I don't know. Right? So it's a weird dynamic, and I've learned it by just being over here. Uh, because it's just, I like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right, so I've been keeping you guys kind of like in suspense. Uh, those are the kind of racists I like, the ones that keep it to themselves. Yeah, I think we all like that. Welcome to the Casual Basic. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, Faye T. I've been kind of like leading you guys on to a lot of you had questions. I hopefully you remembered some of them. So I'm gonna go with Echo Cortez because I think he had a great question about Ken. So if you guys know Ken Ijima, uh, I did a video on him like a year ago or something. And people have asked me, yo, how's my relationship with him? Listen, I think people on YouTube kind of get gassed up about like about beef, and they try to create beef amongst people are who are grown ass people, right? Like one of the things that I love about Ken is that he's a grown ass man. He understands, and he's able to see things from a bird's eye view and understand what perspective is. And that video that we did on Ken wasn't attacking Ken. It really was just my way of giving Ken advice. And I told him about it, right? We talked about this. So I think that's what a lot of people didn't understand because Ken never really addressed, like, yo, I talked to Reggie about this and we're cool. We've talked about it several times. I even asked him, I said, hey, if you feel some kind of way about the video, I'll take it down. And he was like, nah, man, uh, it's, uh, it's okay. It's like it's fine, and it's really objective. So um he's a grown ass man. He's not petty, and I know he's not petty, which is the reason why it was easy for me to make a video on him, because we're cool like that. I think, you know in the fashion community, to be there's a lot of growing up to be done, because I think a lot of people just think uh like you're supposed to have beef if you talk about somebody some kind of way, right? No, you have to be grown. You have to be grown as people. You got, just give people. Uh, Thank you, Alex. Yes, it's comical. Like it's comical, guys. Don't make beef between us because you want that beef to exist, right? Uh, I'm not saying that you guys are like that, but don't make beef between us because you want beef to exist or because you live vicariously through a YouTuber. Um, don't do that. Like, just be cool. Keep it casual, right? That's what this whole thing is about. Keep it casual. It's just clothes. It's just fashion. It's it's not that serious, right? It really isn't. Like I love fashion. I've been doing fashion for a long time. I've been about this community for a minute now, and to be honest with you, one of the things that I dislike about fashion is the fact that people get so upset about it and so gung ho about it. Um, it's not that serious. It's just clothes we wear, and it's just people that we interact with. And if the people are grown up and know how to deal with it and just not don't get caught in their feelings, they'd be all right. Um, so yeah. So as far as if I'm cool with the dude, I can hit him up right now and we'd have a good conversation. So there you go. Um, so there you go. All right. So what else do we have? So we had a lot of questions that you guys were asking, and I missed a lot of them. So some of you guys are gonna have to say them again. Um, uh, when your population is 98% Japanese, they aren't racist. They just think you're effing weird. Yeah, that's probably one of them. Uh, how about racism towards other Asians? That's actually a big deal in Japan. A lot of, I'd say, Koreans and Chinese specifically have a lot of. There's a very contentious relationship between Japanese, Koreans, and Chinese due to a pointed history, but the newer generation, younger Japanese, really don't want to get involved in that. So they usually have good relations with people from those countries. But yeah, older Japanese definitely have uh, a certain kind of feeling, and there's just a lot of old Japanese in this country. Um, I'm just going over. Not all Japanese people are shy, right? How does the stereotype hold up once you're there? Japanese people can be quite shy. Um, Not shy to the point where they don't talk to you, but shy to the point where it's more like a keep to yourself, right? Um, it's more like that. They just keep to themselves. If there's nothing to say, then they're not gonna go out of their way to be like, hey, what's up? Right? So there's that. I'm going through. I'm like looking at two different things at the same time, which is really awesome. How much Japanese do you need to know to be able to live there comfortably for like 2 to 3 months? Eh? あのね、2ヶ月、3ヶ月かな。I'd say you don't really need to know Japanese. They have so much English around Japan that it's not even necessary to um, learn Japanese all the way. I mean, in four is probably, なんていうの, it's probably 十分ですよ, right? So it's like probably enough. Um, so you don't need much Japanese to live in Japan for 2, 3 months. けど、なんか、if you plan on living here for an extended period, then absolutely, you might need something. What do you think of new fashion channels coming up like Bliss Foster and Brave New Wear? I love Bliss; it's my guy. Brave New Wear, I haven't really watched them that much, but maybe I could check it. I think Thread Education has a great model. Um, Love you, Reg. Love the work you're doing. Thank you, Ronald. Let's go. What about French brands such as Ami Paris, Ami Paris, and Miss Kitsune? I love Miss Kitsune. That's one of my favorites. I'm not really following Ami that much. Are Japanese people supportive towards gaijin-owned businesses? Sometimes, yes, absolutely. What do you think of Have a Good Time? I need to check it out more. Uh, Speak on Japanese sneaker culture. We'll get into that. Um, Uh, but you'll pick up very common phrases as you stay longer. My vacation at 3 weeks turned into 2 months in Japan. Didn't need it at all. Yeah. um, I'll talk about. I'm watching branding video. But I just heard Chinatown Market is changing their name and rebranding due to Stop Asian Hate movement here in America, which is crazy. Uh, しょうがないね. Shogunai. Oh man, that's a great one. Yeah, that's exactly how you speak Japanese. Reggie, how'd you end up in Japan? How often do you visit the States? I don't visit the States as much as I used to. Um, and I ended up in Japan because I just wanted to come. Phrasing. uh, what's the dating scene like in Japan? Are you getting a lot of punani thrown at you? When I was trying to get it. So yeah, it was not that hard for me. I think a lot of people think that it's like difficult. You just got to know where to go. Um, are you into other Japanese film or other like Korea's This Is Never That? I like Junjae rather. Um, so yeah. Do you think Chinatown Mark has an uphill battle retaining their casual audience with the rebranding? No, I think they already have it. They have it down. I know you hate fast fashion, but I love Uniqlo collab with JW. And just sorry about it. You don't have to be sorry. I don't hate fast fashion. I just think that it's wasteful if it's not done correctly. I think Uniqlo pretty does a pretty good job in that regard. What do you think about Americans with Japanese inspired style tattoos, crest kanji? ちょっとおかしいんだけど、なんか、そういう人は分かってる場合は大丈夫なんですけど、if they know what it means, then I have no problem with it. What are your thoughts on the brand Japangelis? I think I saw that one back in LA. I don't have a problem with it. Um, what do you think about Japan? Sorry if you, I love Japan. What's your thoughts on ready-made blazers? I think they're dummy expensive. What's the high what's the high street fashion scene in Japan like? Are there any of the stores that look out for that isn't Uniqlo? Um, scene in Japan is dummy big. So I mean that's pretty much all brands in Japan that come up. They're all like high street, right? They all have high price points. They're all made in Japan. They're all expensive and they're all hard to get into. Things like Devoa, or you know what? I wouldn't put Devoa in high street. It's more um, brutalism, deconstruction, and avant-garde. High street. I mean, you go to Royal Flash, you get a lot of those high street brands. That's a store here in Harajuku. Um, What's my favorite brand? I do not have one. Will you be doing a WTH on Verdi anytime soon? Maybe. maybe, maybe, maybe. I find going into Japanese clothing stores like Kuro and Blue Blue a bit overwhelming. How do you overcome this? Ooh, Esther, I like this question. I'm gonna pin it. It's so good. I'm gonna pin it. So I find going into Japanese clothing stores like Kuro and Blue Blue a bit overwhelming. How do I overcome that? One of the things that remember, keep your questions. One of the things that you have to realize when shopping in Japan or just living in Japan is that Um, Japan is a place where you have to focus in on when it comes to fashion, you have to focus in on the style that you want to do. It's not like American in the sense where, people have multiple styles in their closet. Um, and, when you go into a store like Kuro or Blue Blue, that has to be a part of um, your general style, your general ethos, your general branding of yourself. So it's a really weird dynamic as far as comparatively to the West, right? So when you come to Japan, it's like the only way that you're not overwhelmed by going into certain stores is by going into stores that resonate with you, and that's just how Japanese brands operate, even in their own collection. So you're going through each color. That's why you see so much consistency and not a lot of deviation from collection to collection from Japanese designers, right? So when you go in, you kind of the expectation is that um, you already know what to expect. So I would say if you want to be less overwhelmed, get more and more into the style that you really want to do, and then when you start going into stores like Blue Blue and start going into stores like Kuro, you have there's a purpose to going. It's not just, oh, I just want to check it out to see if there's something that's cool. It's more like I'm going in there and I know exactly what I'm looking for. And it's hard because Japan has so many different things, right? So many different brands. And it's hard because you might be interested in a lot of things, but you kind of have to get this idea, okay, what is my style? What is it that I want to convey in that style and how do I go about it? And that will inform you more than anything. You just have to make a conscious decision. Uh, and it gets a lot easier from there. And then expand and start adding additional influences and expand on that style. That's what makes it better. So good question, Esther. I like that one. I like it. What type of visa do I have? The one where I can stay for a long time. Are there any items that are considered essentials in Japan which are less so in the box t-shirts, uh, buttonless cardigans that look like kimono? Those are like staples. And the age of the internet, why do you think a lot of Japanese brands almost refuse to offer their products online in an easy manner for overseas customers dealing with proxies? Sucks. Okay. A lot of this has to do with um, what does this have to do? This has a lot to do with the language barrier, right? And how you do addresses in Japan versus how you do addresses everywhere else in the world. So, how you write addresses in Japan is totally different. So, the way that you write an address in Japan is the zip code first, then you write the state, or like the state or the ward, right? The state or the ward, the place, the city that you live in, then the block that you live on, right? And then like that's it. Right? And then Japan, right? But you don't put Japan. So my address is Tokyo to Setagayaku, Miyasaka 2の1の41です. So that's Tokyo, Setagaya City, and my street is Miyasaka 2の1の41, right? So I can't give you the exact number, right? Don't want my information all over the place. So the way that the addresses are set up, it gets really, really difficult for Japanese to change that internally on websites, right? because of how because of how addresses are set up. For Japanese, it's really easy. So if they would have the international site, they would literally have to have another place where on their site that allows for international shipping that has the Western style address setup. That's one. The second thing is language barrier. If there are things like returns or if there's things like questions about the product, a lot of the time they're just not equipped to answer your questions in a concise and clear way, right? So maybe you have a sizing question. Sometimes they're just like it gets so convoluted that they just don't have the time to deal with that many customers that don't speak their language, right? So that's one of the things that they thwart, right? So there you go. Uh, Thank you. We were going to so many different styles. No doubt. Am I still making beats? I always play music. I just play music. I just play some stuff every now and then. I don't really make beats anymore. Uh, I started watching Evangelion. So are Japanese more into Adidas or Nike in terms of fast fashion sportswear brand? I mean, Nike is super big. It's big everywhere. It's it's super big. Uh, do you think it's a good move to move to Japan as designers that overpopulate with designers brands? No, no, no. I think it's a good idea to move to Japan as a designer. I mean, I did, uh, especially if you plan on taking that brand out west. If you plan on making like designing in Japan and then taking the concepts that you learn from Japan to the west, or building the brand in Japan and providing it to a Western market, that's always a good thing. Do you ever have you ever heard of a brand called Kixcho? Yeah, I heard about Kixcho a long time ago. Like, oh wow, like all the way back in like 2010, right? Yeah, Kixcho is sneaker sneaker influence brand, right? So yeah, they were pretty cool back in the day. Uh they would always put like their shirts would always have like Kickstro. I think they still do this. They have the Kickstro and then they have like a girl on there wearing sneakers. Like that was Kickstro all the way. I was like, wow. But at that time I thought it was kind of dasai, so I couldn't go there. Um, do she really hit it off with the girls that and call them her J Jolas? I didn't even catch the first part of it. What do Japanese think of Americans specifically? They think that we're loud, we're big, and we like donuts, which isn't too far from the truth. Is it blasphemous to tailor Japanese fashion to fit your body? I love the quality, but the fit would be no, no, no. Encourage tailoring, please tailor. Uh, Reggie would started. I wish I could start a college, a fashion college. I wish I would have did that. Is there a special way a kimono style cardi to be worn to not be disrespectful to the culture? You don't have to worry about that at all. Please don't worry about how to wear a kimono. If you're wearing it as a street style cardigan, no, there's nothing. No, Japanese don't have this whole idea. So get that out of your mind. This whole idea. Um, the whole idea of cultural appropriation is just kind of oblivious to Japanese people. They have no concept of what this is, right? They're just like, what is that? And then you're like, oh, it's when you take something from another culture and but in Japan, like that's all they do. So they're like, are you saying that we're doing something bad? Japanese people are just like, are you saying that what we're doing by taking other people's style from around the world, that's a bad thing? They're just like, oh my God. I was like, no, 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 it's cool. They'd just be like, oh, okay. Right. So definitely one of those things that you don't have to worry about. Wear a kimono all you want. Um, uh, no problem, man. Daniel, thank you so much. I love donuts. What do I do in my off time? You appear so zen. I meditate and I work out. And I watch Archer. Uh, are there really no affordable Japanese prices comparable to car work in progress? Oh, there's plenty of those brands that are affordable in Japan. The problem is that they're only available in Japan. I mean, there's Minority, there's Zip 5, there's Beat Jive, there's Beaming by Beams, there's Journal Standard, there's Nano Universe, there's American Rag CA, there's Cohen. There's so many Japanese brands that are incredibly cheap, but they're only available in Japan. So that's the reason why for uh, it's a little bit hard to find those kind of cheaper labels. Um, what does your Hanko imprint look like, and what was the most annoying thing that you had time to adjust to when you first moved to Japan? I'd say documents. Documents was definitely the hardest thing that I have like the that I had to get used to. But I have this whole story of how when I went to the bank, I had to literally pull the discrimination card because my name was too long, right? Like my name is Reginald Aaron Casual, right? You guys didn't think that my last name was Casual. I don't understand why people don't like get this. Like that is my name, Casual, right? So my name was too long to fit on a banking card. So they were just like, you have to use the same name that's in your passport. And I was like, all right, but my whole name is in my passport. So they were just like, your name is too long. So Japanese names tend to be quite short. And so I was just like, yo, you're not gonna let me. Why don't you have this service? Like, why, why, like, why can't you put? And so I was like, you're being, you're discriminating against foreigners, right? And then they were just like, no, 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 no. And so I had to get them to do a special way to get my whole name on the card. It was actually really funny, right? So yes, documentation and dealing with Japanese bureaucracy is just awful. And my Hanko just says casual on it, right? About the only available stuff in Japan is Tiffany more, and there's a tons of don't care about the only available in Japan stuff. We need more information, and there are tons of proxies already. I don't. I think that's an extension. Um, I think that's an extension of the last question. Um, yeah, I mean, if you want to know about those brands, I could tell you about them. It's just that there's so many, right? I'll probably do it on a live or something like this. We have like 30 minutes before the video drops, so I just want you guys to know the video is dropping in 30 minutes. I think it's 30 minutes, or maybe it's 4:30. I'm not really sure. Um, so yeah. So, let me see here. I don't know when it's dropping. Let's go to YouTube Studio real quick, and then I'm gonna get off after that video comes out. Uh, what do we have? It is scheduled for 4. That's right. Okay, so yeah, in 30 minutes. Um, so more questions, and then I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna take like 10, and I'm gonna just do rapid fire. All right. Glad to see you're doing these lives on YouTube now. I love when you're doing them on Insta. Yeah, if you guys aren't following me on Insta, I do a lot of Insta lives, but I'm gonna probably start doing them here. Do Japanese people wear CP Company and Stone Island? Are they mega popular? Stone Island's okay popular, but there's so many styles and brands in Japan that um, most most Japanese wear a variety of things. Like you don't really see like one brand overtaking everything. Considering the pandemic kept most people indoors and away from gathering, was there anything in 2020 that blew up in any meaningful way to keep going now, or are we just building off memories? I think 2019 is like we're trying to I think you're right about the 2019 thing. No, document process is a pain. But odd one, but were you into anime before you went to Japan? If not, did being in Japan make you get into anime? I was into anime when I was younger. Um, but now it's more so I approach anime like I don't want to say like a Japanese person, but I approach it like it's just regular TV. Right? So when I see an anime series, I don't treat it like I'm an anime fan. I treat it like, oh, is it good? Like, is it a good show? Right? Is that a good show? Let me watch it. But or am I interested in it? So I treat it like if I was watching any other show rather than treating it like I'm a fan of anime. Right? So that's kind of how I approach it. It's less of a kind of fandom and more of a critical, like a critical, like is it good type deal. So yeah, there you go. Um, you have any thoughts in the fashion rep community? Do what you do. If you like that stuff, go ahead and do it. But I'd like to see more people doing finding labels and brands that they don't have to go to the rep community for. So you need more options. Give yourself more options. Stop messing with those popular brands. Find something else. Support up and coming labels. I always say that. Support up and coming designers. You find a lot of stuff that uh, isn't selling out and is still good. Do Japanese women like black men? I think I'm kind of living proof that, Japanese women, depending on it just depends on the woman, right? Like I think we try to like shoehorn women into this idea, and I'm not trying to be a simp on this, but I grew up with women. I have four sisters, I have five sisters, and we tend to we as guys, uh, as guys, we got to stop shoehorning women into this idea that do they like me because of this or do they like this? It's like it's a case by case basis. For example, I can take you to a place in Japan where uh, they're actively searching for black dudes, right? Right. Right. Like they're actively searching. I think I have a lot of sisters. Like they're actively searching for black dudes because that's like a trophy for them, right? So I can take you to those places, but they hood rats, right? A lot of them are. So I mean, you can find any manner of people. You just got to be a cool dude. Just be you. Be you. Don't matter if you're black, white, Asian. Doesn't matter. You can do what you got to do. That's how I that's how I that's how I view it. Um I just I didn't want to put that. Black men, you good everywhere. Trust me. Um there's this magical place they're actively searching. Ah, yo, Goto's episode coming soon. Um uh Go to Roppongi. Go to Roppongi at night. I'm pretty sure you'll find some people. Go to like Nishiazabu. You're gonna be all right. Go to Yotsuka base. You'll be all right. Get a friend who works at a base and go to the clubs outside of the base. I guarantee you have a good time. Right? There you go. Go to Roppongi or get a friend who lives on base and go to a club outside of the base. And if you can't do something there, then your game is terrible, right? Right? Then your game is terrible. If you can't do it then your game is terrible. Uh, right. All right. And on to more serious topics. Where I'm not, yeah, it works for everybody else too, right? Oh, and you know what? If you're a lady, Okay, so lady, if you're a lady watching this right now, right? Because you don't want to just talk about dudes, you want to give ladies some of their love, you know what I'm saying? So if you're a lady and you want to, chop it up with a Japanese dude, right? You want to chop it up with a Japanese dude, you have to approach Japanese dudes. All right? So if you're a girl out there, right, and you want to chat, you want to chat it up with a Japanese dude, Japanese dudes don't approach women, right? You have to approach them, right? You got to approach them. They don't know how to do it, right? So you got to approach them. Just approach them, you be good because then they'll be like, "Holy crap." Right? So that's all you got to do. Um so there you go. Uh right? So there you go. What you say? Hey, stop that. Get a gun and you're set. Okay, so flirting culture is reversed in Japan. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing about it is if you are have you fixed your Patreon updated more frequent, please? Yeah, no, we've been posting on Patreon like forever. And Dan, we got posts on Patreon, we got all types of class, we got everything, right? So we got Discord is up. So if you want to get down with what we're doing on Patreon, please check it out. Um, No, Bree, you're not gonna hear any cat calling in Japan. You're not. No. Although, although, maybe you might hear because there's a couple foreign dudes that'll be like, yo, 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 yo. So I'm getting ahead of myself. But let me see. What else do we got? I'll put it on any specific stores I should watch out for. Oh yeah, Aaron, Dylan, they were talking about like Kichijoji, Koenji, Shimokitazawa. Shimokitazawa is one of my favorite places for vintage shopping. Of course, Harajuku has a lot of good places, but Shimokitazawa and like Koenji are like full on places where vintage fashion is like the only thing that's there. So definitely check out those places. I have a couple of places that I frequent. Chicago is one of them. Flamingo is every now and then. Haight Ashbury is really good one in Shimokitazawa. Trey Factory, Second Street, Brand Collect. Um, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Just check them all out. Um, the YouTube live audience built different from IG live. Yeah, for sure. How do you find driving on the left when you first moved to Japan? Yo, I didn't find it bad. I'm a really good driver on the right side. On the left side, I was just like, nah, right? Do you know Matt Cab? I don't know Matt Cab. We got Second Streets in LA. Yeah, yeah, I know they just opened some a few years ago, I think. How's the car scene? And is there a brand that pays homage to car culture? I think there is a brand that's based off of a Japanese manga. Um, but yeah, the car scene is dope in Japan. I mean, car scene is just amazing. As a brand building momentum with celebs and everything wearing your brand, still having trouble with people pronouncing the brand right. Tuesday. Any tips on ideas how to fix this? Keep on saying it. Right? Just keep on saying it. Like you gotta try to do a campaign that's based off of your idea and your brand identity. What race Japanese women are more attracted as per your experience? Um, well, you know what? You'd be surprised, right? Um, you'd be surprised that it doesn't, I will again say it doesn't really matter, but surprisingly, I'd say Japanese women find Latin dudes incredibly attractive. Like they find Latin dudes, if they come to Japan, oh my goodness, like you're Spanish, if you're from like South America or uh Cuba or I don't doesn't matter. If you're from like Mexico, like oh my goodness. Uh wow. 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 Like it's a it's pretty it's pretty it's pretty crucial. I mean, uh, it's pretty crucial, right? Or like it's pretty crucial. Like sometimes I'll be breaking out, yeah. I sometimes I'll be breaking out my yeah, 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 I'm Caribbean just to get as close to that as possible. Sometimes I'll be breaking out my whole culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, 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 yeah. Dominican Republic, baby. Right? Um, so yeah. I said, I packing my bag now. If you were to start over as a designer from the US, would you move to London, Paris, or Tokyo to expand your brand? I would stay. Um, I would stay. I would take Japan only because Japan gives you them a Japan would give you a different perspective. You can kind of get all of the European stuff from any vantage point in the West, but you can't. It's hard to get the Japanese vantage point. In Japan, you get everything. Um, uh, Sex pats D. No, I'm gonna show that one. I don't like foreigners who are here that seem to be incels. It's just rude. Also, I really don't like expats. That's what I was talking about earlier. It just kind of annoys me about that. Reggie's gonna make us do DNA tests to find that little bit of Latin. I don't have to do a DNA test. I know where it is. So, but yeah, you might want to get it. I can't watch the stream right now. It's all good, man. How illegal is murder in Japan? It's pretty illegal. It's pretty illegal. It's pretty up there. It's high up there in the things that you shouldn't do. What's your opinion of techwear now? I don't really wear it as much anymore, but I would say that techwear is still viable, and I still think that it's an amazing um, I still think that it's an amazing style. What's your favorite anime? A Samurai Champloo. Is there a clear Nike and Adidas? um, I think I don't I don't know. That's facts. Sex pats for real. Um, where is murder? Would you recommend study abroad in Japan for college students to come, or should they just come on vacation? Does it really matter? I think coming under the pretense of school is great. And coming to visit is awesome. Just come. Phrasing. Would you recommend don't mess with Japanese courses? No, no, no. What do you think about Lil Nas X shoes? That is the video that we are doing next, so wait for that. What's the highest demanded American brand out in Japan? Supreme, period. Um, and maybe a little bit of Champion. Uh, and neighbor, I mean, New Balance gets a lot of love in Japan as well. Uh, just got hit in the ears. Uh, Japan or Korea for fashion? I'm going with Japan, although Korea is nasty. Is G Star Raw still popular there? Yes, it is. Let us say that hypothetically, I was to drain several adult males of their spinal fluids. I'm not answering that. That's an awesome question. I think it's time for you to show us some lookbook on your next vid. Probably Nike. How do you feel about Y3 right now? It's still okay. Um, is it hard to get your brand into stores in Japan? No, you just got to be very, very. You have to be very tenacious. That's a good word to use. Where are the best places to go if you want to build your techwear wardrobe? I don't know. I'm gonna be real with you. Premier Champion, more than Nike. Yeah, Nike's good. Um, is it hard to get to know someone, friend or foreigner with a culture barrier? No, 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 no. Japanese people tend to be very nice. Do Japanese brands have any restrictions in designing their clothes? Not that I know of. Uh, is a brand name or value more important? I came up with one, but people aren't liking my name, even though it's important to me. Ooh. Then you want to then those are the people that are should be about your brand, honestly. Uh, come out with product and see if they like your brand then. Any videos on Bape? Yep, we got a video on Nego coming out next week. What's the biggest British brand there? Nigel Caborn. Any run-ins with Gokudo? uh, I mean, at least Nigel Caborn is like one of the most popular. Thoughts on hiking where IE big Gore-Tex vibes. I love it. Do you get outside Tokyo often? I was outside Tokyo 2 weeks ago. What are you writing on the cabinet behind you? These are all designers, designers that I study that I need to go over their collections and check out and get into their history. Um, I got a few more. Okay. What's your fit today, bro? Just a hat and a slight hoodie. What happened to the video plan on doing about undercover Nike collabs? Been looking for. Yeah, I know it's hard. Um, no, fitted hats, you can find them straight at New Era. Are you going to collaborate with Kim for a video? Hopefully, we can get it done. We're just on two different schedules. Do you have any advice to import Japanese cloth in Europe? There's a couple of websites I can give. I'll put it in. I'll try to, if you put it in a post on our comment page, then I'll take it. Have you ever climbed Mount Fuji? You mean Volcano Fuji? No. Daikanyama is so hilly, especially worse when it's raining. You got loafers on. She's talking about her ills, which you got there. Yeah, but I love Daikanyama. It's probably my favorite place in Japan. Have you ever been to a May Cafe? No. Do you still have the Airbnb tour? No. You a fan of G-Jack's Paranor's Air Force Ones? Big fan of. Thank you. Um, those are actually pretty cool. Uh, just a hat and a hoodie. Man, I got some shorts on, right? Man, self-proclaimed way here, but not for the normal, but for the car cultures. So many tracks having track days. Reggie is totally sitting with no pants on. Absolutely, I have no pants on right now. You living in Japan forever? Nah, nah. Devante, thank you, man. How many years in Japan? Almost 10, I think. Do you participate in Hanami all the time? Might be in Tokyo soon. Any tips on how to find someone to hang around with? I don't know anyone there and would like to not roam the city all alone. I'm into photography and thought there was a scene in TYO. Yes, there's plenty of photography communities in Japan, and you can always join photography groups as well. They help you out. Got some people that are great there. Yeah, no, it's really easy. Go to a bar and talk to people. What kind of job do you say allows you to live in? What kind of job do you do that allows you to live in Japan, if you could say? All right. This is um, yeah, we got Olympic tickets. This is a question that I'm probably going to leave on. All right, so I think this is a pretty good question. Um, what kind of job, to get back to the original point of, Japan, because I've been kind of blasting by your question. So, what kind of job can you do that helps you live in Japan? Now, you could be a teacher, right? And play at that. But I usually tell people um, when you get to Japan, if you decide to get become a teacher, right? I'm gonna tell you what to do, right? This is I'm gonna tell you right now. So everybody right now is about to get the secret of how to live in Japan, right? How to live in Japan and not like stay a teacher, right? All right. This is what you do. I'm gonna give you the exact plan. All right. So say you don't speak Japanese. Say you don't speak Japanese at all, right? Say you don't speak it. This is what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna be a teacher, right? Become a teacher, right? And do it for like 1 year. But during that 1 year, right? During that 1 year, all you're gonna do is put all of your money into Japanese language class. That's all you're going to do. That you're not going to do anything else. Like forego everything. Forego trips, forego buying clothes because you're not going to need it. You're going to be working all the time. It's going to suck for you're just going to sacrifice a whole school year for kids or like forever. Be a teacher, learn Japanese. By the end of the year, right? If by the end of the year you're going to be at least NICU level, like at least NICU level, which is business language level, right? Like just do that. Like I promise you, it'll benefit you in the long run. If you can sacrifice that 1 year and just put all of your extra money into uh your pencil shavings, right? If you put all of your money into like language classes, my goodness, you're gonna be so set. You're gonna be so set. Like I met somebody who did that. I didn't do it because I knew Japanese before I came, but phrasing. But but I knew a person who said, "Yo, I just came here and I just started talking. I just started going to Japanese class all day, every day. I was just studying every single day. That's all I was doing was just studying, 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 right? Right. And then after a while, he got really good, and then he was able to, um, and then he was able to get a job doing something that paid him a lot more money, and he had a lot more extra time on his hand. Like that, you could do that, and it'll be a lot better. Or you can do the other thing, which is don't come to Japan to work, come to Japan as a student. But then you're not making money, you're spending money. So it's an investment. So you can come to Japan as a language student. Um, uh, Nah. I mean, Japanese girlfriend will get you to like maybe N3 level. A Japanese girlfriend will get you to like N3. You're not getting an N1 with a Japanese girlfriend at all, right? Your Japanese girlfriend won't be N1 level Japanese. Like I don't know any Japanese person that speaks like the N1 level test, right? So no way that you're gonna be that. Like if you get a girlfriend, she's gonna be like, "Manji there, manji there, manji there, that's good." Like no, um, right? So you don't know. Said, yeah, I've been said I lived with my Chinese boyfriend for 15 years and I know 2 words of Chinese. I know ni hao and I know ma. That's all I know. That's it. I know ni hao and I know ma. That's it. So yeah, yeah, you having a Japanese girlfriend is not going to help you that much. It'll help you. You're going to end up teaching your girlfriend English. That's right. Um, uh, Yo, I love YouTube comments. Like, I'm reading you guys stuff. You guys are cracking me up, and I'm just not good at reading your comments and you guys being incredibly hilarious. And and me trying to be serious talking about this thing, right? Talking about this thing. But yeah, biggest culture barrier. Um, uh, I say the biggest culture barrier is realizing that I'm done. Okay. Biggest culture barrier is probably just getting over the fact that people are not gonna love you simply because you can speak Japanese. In any case, thank you guys so much uh for joining me here on this live. This live is not going to be posted on the main channel, so you're not going to be able to rewatch it, unfortunately. But if you are part of Patreon, you will have this. So we will put this live on Patreon for the Patreon members, so they can rewatch it. But we're going to do more and more lives right here for you guys. So we're probably going to try to schedule them so you guys don't miss out. But yeah, that's for that. Now the other thing, watch the next video. Okay, so watch videos coming up in around 3 minutes, and I hope you enjoy it. See you guys in a minute, and Keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion and culture from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And I will see you guys in a minute. I'm out.